Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we've gathered some really fascinating sources, all asking this powerful question. How do you unlock that deep, spontaneous genius? The research actually calls it freeing the magician.
Yeah, and the core idea, the premise in all this material, it's that creativity isn't some mystical gift for a few.
Right, not inherited.
No. It's actually hardwired. A survival thing, really. Your brain just waiting to synthesize everything you know.
And pop out something new, under pressure.
Exactly. Under the right kind of pressure. It's built in.
Okay, so to kick this off, we're diving straight into, a pretty dramatic real-life example. Man Gulch, Montana, 1949.
Wag Dodge. Veteran firefighter. His crew gets caught by this massive wildfire.
And the sources say, the fire was moving at 700 feet per minute, wind-driven. You can't outrun that.
No way. Impossible. 13 of his crew kept running. Tragically, they didn't make it.
But Dodge, he did something just completely unexpected, untrained.
Totally. He stops running, lights an emergency fire around himself in the grass.
Creates his own little burnt-out circle. A fire break.
Yeah, wets a blanket, lies down in the ash. And the main fire just burns right over him. Skips his spot because there's no fuel left.
He survived, completely unharmed physically. But what was that? Was it just panic or
was it this flash of genius, this perfect spontaneous insight hitting him right when he needed it most?
The Eureka effect, psychologists call it.
Exactly. It bypassed all his training, all the logic. So our mission today is figuring out how that works. How does that kind of thinking happen?
And more importantly, what can you do to actually invite that? Not just in a crisis, but, every day.
Okay, so let's start with the name, the magician. Why that term? Sounds a bit mystical.
It does, but it ties back to Ian McGilchrist's work on the brain hemispheres.
Right. He basically says magic is what the left hemisphere calls anything it doesn't understand.
The left brain being the logical, linear, verbal part.
Yeah. And the magician, that's the right hemisphere, the part that sees the whole picture, makes these broad connections, synthesizes everything you've ever learned or experienced.
With what's happening right now.
Yep.
To make something totally new.
That's the goal, to wake up that intuitive associative power.
And here's the kicker, the really shocking part from the sources. Evidence suggests we're actively taught not to use it.
The NASA study. That data is just, it's staggering.
Yeah, back in the 60s, NASA wanted to find creative geniuses, right? So they developed these tests.
And they gave them to kids. 3 to 5-year-olds, what happened?
98%. 98% scored at the creative genius level.
Wow, almost all of them.
Then they tested the same kids 5 years later, after they'd been in school.
And the number dropped dramatically, I assume.
Plummeted, down to 32%.
Okay, that's bad enough. But what about adults?
They tested something like 200,000 adults later on. The percentage scoring as creative genius, 2%.
2. From 98? Down to 2. It's deeply concerning, isn't it?
It really is. And the researchers, they pointed fingers directly at the school system, the whole social environment.
Saying it teaches us out of it, forces us to suppress that genius.
What's the mechanism there? How does it get suppressed?
Anxiety seems to be the main culprit, according to the research. Our culture pushes for the right answer quickly. Linear thinking. Left brain dominance.
And that anxiety forces the magician, the right brain's creative side,
into deep cover. It hides. One source suggests the antidote is consciously building what it calls a sanity quilt life.
A sanity quilt.
Yeah, like intentionally filling your time and life with things you actually find interesting, things you love, to shift focus away from that constant low-grade anxiety that our culture seems to generate.
So, okay. Conventional success might lean on, external factors, privilege, whatever. But this creative success hinges on something internal, especially when things get tough.
Exactly. And the research points to 4 key conditions, 4 triggers for that eureka moment.
And these are maybe not what you'd expect. Not about comfort.
Definitely not. First, you need to be grappling with difficult problems, real challenges.
Okay, difficulty is number 1.
Second, you need interest-based curiosity. You have to have gathered knowledge, experience, simply because you were genuinely interested, not just because you had to.
That's the fuel, then.
Third, a dose of courage. You can't be afraid to engage with a difficulty or try something new.
Makes sense. And the 4th one?
The apparent impasse. That moment where you are completely stuck, all the known options are gone, you've hit a wall.
Let's tie that back to Wag Dodge. He clearly had all 4, didn't he?
Absolutely. The difficult problem. A massive, inescapable fire. Curiosity. Years of firefighting experience under his belt.
Courage, leading his crew into that danger zone.
And the impasse.
Yeah.
Boy, did he hit an impasse. Couldn't outrun it, couldn't fight it conventionally, and the weight of his crew's lives was on him. Total block.
So that impasse, that feeling of being utterly stuck, it's not just a barrier, it's actually essential.
It's the critical trigger. It's the point where the logical, anxious left brain throws its hands up and says, I got nothing.
And that quiet allows the right brain, the magician,
to slip in a completely novel solution, something outside the usual rules.
So difficulty isn't the enemy of creativity, it's more like the fertilizer.
Precisely. Necessity really is the mother of invention. The sources are packed with examples. Think about ancient China.
The floods.
Yeah, centuries of devastating floods. That constant, massive problem eventually forced them to invent incredibly sophisticated irrigation systems. The difficulty drove the innovation.
Or like that friend you mentioned, Joe, with cerebral palsy.
Oh, yeah. He's a corporate problem solver, and he actually turned down an operation. Said having to constantly think laterally just to, open a door or navigate his day, that kept his creative mind sharp. The daily difficulty was his training ground.
Wow. And you see it in extreme survival situations, too.
Like those amazing underground cities in Turkey, 18 levels deep, built because of constant warfare. The sheer need for safety drove that incredible feat of engineering, especially the ventilation.
Or Resma Menachem's observations about enslaved populations using humming, rocking, swaying.
Yes, as a survival tool. A creative, embodied way to endure and process unimaginable trauma and oppression. The deepest ingenuity arises from the toughest problems.
Okay, so we know the conditions. Difficulty, curiosity, courage, impasse. How do we actively court this? How do we invite the magician? The sources lay out steps, right? But not in a linear school-taught way.
Exactly. It's kind of the opposite of that. There are 6 steps, starting with preparation. And step 1 is fundamental. Calm yourself.
And this isn't just like feel-good advice. This is brain science.
Absolutely. If you're caught up in anxiety, fear, worry, that left brain chatter just dominates the right hemisphere. It goes quiet. It needs calm to operate.
So managing that inner anxiety creature is job 1.
You got it. Then step 2, wander around.
Wander, like physically.
Ideally, yes. Physically move. Walk through a market, a museum, unfamiliar streets. The goal is just notice things. Let your curiosity lead. Collect impressions without judgment, like a kid picking up shiny rocks.
Conscious ragbag collecting, one source called it.
That's a great way to put it. And, okay, if you're physically stuck, wandering unfamiliar corners of the internet could be a fallback. But the point is, aimless, open-ended exploration.
That gathering phase then leads to step 3. Let your mind catch fire. Ignition.
Yeah, this is where something you've noticed or wandered into suddenly grabs you intensely. It pulls you into deep exploration, deep focus.
The example of Josh Waitzkin comes up here. Chess prodigy.
Right. Saw chess hustlers in the park, got ignited, became an international grandmaster. Then years later, saw the martial art Tuishu, got ignited again, and became a world champion in that too. Double ignition.
And there's that weird phenomenon, the genius surge, that happens when lots of people get ignited by the same thing.
Yes, you can literally see it in those televised skill competitions.
Like American Ninja Warrior or the Great British Bake Off.
Exactly. Watch the early seasons, then watch 5 years later. The skill level of the contestants just shoots through the roof.
Because viewers got ignited, practiced like crazy.
And innovated. They developed new techniques, pushed the boundaries, forced the shows themselves to get way harder. That's mass ignition at work.
Okay, so ignition happens, but you can't just sit back then, right? There's effort involved. Step 4, practice deeply.
Crucial. This isn't just mindless repetition. It's what the sources call dedicated play or deep practice.
Like the martial arts teacher example. Perfect form, slowly, 1,000 times.
Then perfect form with speed. Then perfect form with speed and force. That focused, iterative process of mastery. It literally builds the neural pathways.
And here's that mind-blowing stat from K. Anders Ericsson, that this deep practice works even better if it feels like play, even if it's hard.
Yes. Dedicated play. When it's enjoyable, when you're intrinsically motivated, the learning is way more efficient.
The numbers are crazy. It takes something like 400 repetitions to build a new synapse with grueling, maybe anxiety-driven practice.
But only 10 to 20 repetitions when it's dedicated play. Think about that difference.
400 versus maybe 15, that's huge. It's like learning to drive, isn't it? At first, it's terrifying. Takes all your focus.
Right. All conscious effort. But with enough practice, especially if you start to enjoy parts of it, it sinks in, becomes automatic, body memory.
Frees up your conscious mind. This connects to Carol Dweck's work too, right? Praising effort over innate giftedness.
Exactly. Praising kids for being smart makes them anxious about failure. Praising them for practice, for effort, for working through difficulty, that encourages mastery and resilience.
I liked the art teacher example too, Will Ryman. Making students draw perfect straight lines, perfect circles, checked with a ruler.
Seems tedious, right? But the students said that rigorous discipline was what eventually freed their mind. It taught them the process of deep focus and refinement, which they could then apply playfully to anything.
Okay, so that deep practice, that effort, it inevitably leads to step 5, get stuck. The impasse again.
We have to come back to it. Hitting that wall isn't a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're close. The brain blisters are forming, as one source put it.
It means the magician is waking up.
It's the final necessary trigger. You've done the work, gathered the info, practiced deeply. Now you hit the limit of your current understanding. That's where the magic can happen.
But why does practicing, say, drawing perfect circles, help me solve a completely unrelated problem at work? This idea of far transfer.
Because you're not just learning the content, how to draw a circle, you're mastering the process. Intense focus, identifying errors, making micro-adjustments, achieving precision, handling frustration.
Yeah, so that process skill is transferable.
Highly transferable. Think weight skin again, chess skills to martial arts, then both to investing. The underlying patterns of strategy, risk assessment, reading opponents, they transfer.
Or the skier, Caroline, using her fall line instincts calculated risk in consulting.
Exactly. Or Min Kim, the violinist, using ideas from physics like stretching time to play technically impossible music. It's taking a concept or skill from one domain and applying it innovatively in another. That's far transfer.
The art teacher forcing the student to use that unforgiving drafting pen, leading to frustration, the impasse, then the breakthrough.
Perfect example. The tool forced a new level of precision and led to an impasse that sparked a new technique.
Okay, so we've calmed down, wandered, ignited, practiced deeply, and now we've hit the wall. The impasse. What's the final step? Step 6.
The hardest one? Maybe. Trust.
Trust. Trust what?
Trust the process. Trust your unconscious. Once you've pushed to that point of impasse, you have to let go of conscious control. Stop trying so hard. The anxious, verbal mind needs to step aside.
So you bang your head against the wall, then walk away.
Pretty much. The sources call it the Monty Python approach. And now for something completely different. Push hard, reach the impasse, then deliberately switch off. Go rollerblading, do a puzzle, take a nap.
Let the right hemisphere work in the background.
Exactly. Let it synthesize everything while the left brain isn't interfering and demanding immediate results.
I love that magical chicken analogy one source used.
Oh, yes. Write down your problem, your request for your inner magical chicken. Then forget about it. Go do something else. And eventually...
You hop, the egg arrives. The idea just appears.
It can feel like that. Sudden insight often arrives when you least expect it, once you've done the groundwork and then let go.
So pulling it all together, unleashing this creative genius, this magician, it's really hard work, but it's also normal.
Incredibly hard and completely normal. It's how our brains are actually designed to operate, especially under pressure. We just get trained out of it.
So you have a choice. You can stay in that anxiety spiral feeling smaller.
Or you can choose curiosity. Choose the creativity spiral. Practice finding and solving small problems, small impasses, every day. That wires your brain to handle the big ones.
Which brings us to the final thought for you, the listener. You've got a lifetime supply of personal problems and impasses to practice on. But what if you turned this newly awakened creative capacity outward?
Yeah. What collective problem grabs you? War, injustice, climate change, these huge, seemingly intractable issues.
Yeah.
They desperately need that magician thinking.
That unprecedented way of solving problems that Wag Dodge found in the face of the fire. The world needs your unique insight.
You have that capacity. We all do. It's just about learning to access it.
So go find an impasse. Start there. That's it for this deep dive.